Many people seem to be having challenges in the area of their relationships. So I thought I'd share a little model on how to see relationships slightly differently. The quality of our lives is really determined by the quality of our relationships. So trying to get that right, I think, is quite important in our lives. In a relationship, there's obviously you. So we draw you as a little circle there, and that's you. And then you decide that you want a relationship with someone. So maybe you have a date and you go to some restaurant and you have a candlelit dinner with the other. So now there's you and there's the other. And you sit across the table and you communicate, you look into each other's eyes, and there's a sense of connection, a sense of oneness. And that is where your bubbles overlap over here. And in that moment, you're starry-eyed and you feel a certain sense of presence and a certain level of love. So let's just put that in there. Let's put a heart. There we are. We're connecting directly with the other. And you find in that moment that there's not much judgment going on, and there's an inquisitive nature about yourself as to the other, and they're inquiring about you as well. But you're not judging. There's very little mind in that moment. There's an awful lot of presence in that moment. And maybe it goes very well, and after a little while you decide to have a relationship. This is when you start to have a threesome. Yep, I know you've all had threesomes. The threesome is when we start to create a mind-made vehicle called relationship. And this is a vehicle of mind and time. So you have mind and time. This is where the problems start happening, because we look to the relationship to fulfill us. We look to the relationship to meet our needs. We look to the relationship to give us love, to give us security, to give us sex, to give us all sorts of things that the mind thinks a relationship should give us. And I'm going to suggest that this relationship should be thought of not as a basket, a wish list that needs to be fulfilled, but rather as a vehicle for you to experience each other through and life through. So if we think of a vehicle, so you fall in love and you're young and your body is quite slim, maybe, possibly, and you buy a small little sports car, 2-seater sports car, and you zoom off into the sunset, your hair flowing in the wind. Yeah, I know my hair blew off, but that's the way it was back then. And then 10, 15, 20 years later, you're still in the same 2-seater sports car. But now your body has grown, and your partner's body has grown, and you now have a cat, 2 dogs, and 3 children, and a mother-in-law, all squeezed into the same vehicle. It just doesn't work anymore. So this is a time to reassess the vehicle. Because if we don't, we will build up anger and resentment and regret. And I believe that every vehicle should be reassessed every 7 years. 7 years is a good cycle to reassess. So how is your relationship doing after 7 years? Does this vehicle that we have meet our current needs? Because this vehicle is full of something called expectations. And when we start out, we have certain expectations. I mean, even when you say the word "I love you" to someone, what does it mean? What it means to you might be very different to what it means to them. And so we build up assumptions and expectations about what this vehicle is going to bring us. Another point is when we are sitting in that lovely restaurant, in that candlelit restaurant, and we are communicating directly in that moment, we have not many roles. We don't play many roles. But as we enter the relationship, we start to communicate through our roles. They communicate to you through "you are my, therefore you should," or "I am your, therefore I should." And that creates a lot of expectations, a lot of falsehood. When we were here, possibly we were connecting directly through presence. But when we enter the mind-time relationship vehicle, we start to communicate very much based on what the mind says, "this should bring me," or "I should bring you." And that creates a lot of anger and resentment. And what we do is we start to make the relationship number one. It's all about the relationship. And we make the other number two. and we make ourselves turn last. When we put ourselves last, we automatically do build up some resentment, some anger, maybe even some regret. That can be very dysfunctional in a relationship. So I would suggest that we make this one change, and that is that we make this number one. The connection of presence, what is in this moment, we make that number one. I call it the isness. The isness of this moment is more important than history. It's more important than future, because that's where love resides. People think that love is in this little box down here. This box here, this vehicle. That is not where love is. Love is not in the mind, and love is not in time. Love is in the timeless essence of being. And that we can only connect to when we are in the present moment. Love is about being. So we make love, presence, being number one. We make ourselves equal to the other, number two. And we make the relationships where it should be, it's just a vehicle, we make that number three. And if you make that fundamental shift in your mind, you will open the door for love to flow. Now this diagram might apply to your intimate other, but it can also be used in work colleagues. It can also be used, for example, in mother-in-laws and family. If you start to make the isness of this moment more important than history or future, you will open your heart will open, and you'll find the other will probably, more than likely, respond in love as well. And you'll heal your relationships in miraculous ways.